Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So today I have a interesting product here. It is from iFlight. This is the Chimera4. This is their version of the long-range 4-inch quad that has been ever so popular in recent days, mainly based on the release of this guy. It's the Flywoo Explorer long range, and every other manufacturer out there seems to be getting into the same idea. Let's see what we have in the box. So first thing off the hop, we have a couple extra bags of goodies. We have a USB-C cable. We have some, looks like gel pads for your battery, LiPo strap, a little camera protector for the DJI camera, some antenna tubes, and of course some stickers. I mean, why not? Everybody loves stickers. Two sets of props here. We have a set of Gemfan Hurricane 4024s and a set of Nazgul 4030s. So these are a little bit higher pitch than the Gemfan, or at least they should be. So it'd be interesting to see the difference on those. And another bag of LiPo straps. So you get one, two, three LiPo straps in total. Four? Geez, there's four LiPo straps. So this version is the version with the Crossfire and the DJI system. Oh, and also there's another bunch of stickers in the bottom of the box, your DJI Vista instruction manual, GPS rescue mode setup, and look at this. Thank goodness iFlight. It is a entire color, one-page printout of all the connections. This is something sorely missing in just about every manufacturer's flight controllers lately. So here, as you can see, this is a Crossfire setup with the Immortal T antenna. It has a GPS unit on it. It is held in with this pretty flexible TPU mount. Kind of would have liked that to have been a little tighter to the frame. Let's see if we can pop this guy out and see who makes this thing. Oh, it's actually branded by iFlight. I'm sure they don't make it, but they do have their logo lasered into the back of it. Here is the Caddx Vista antenna, and all these manufacturers are going with like a an extended length antenna, which is it's going to be really good. It's really going to help out the video receiver range. The higher you can get your radiating element above everything else, especially the LiPo, the better. There we go. We have our long range. This should be a left-hand circular polarized antenna because that's what the DJI system tends to use. XT30 for the main discharge lead, and that's pretty common between most of the other offerings of this style craft. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way so we can get a better look. No LiPo pad on top, but like I said, it came in the accessories pack. This is using the iFlight Zing 1404 3800 kV motors. These are pretty darn nice motors. I've used these on a few other crafts. They're pretty nice. They're not as notchy as most motors in this size, but they certainly do have a little bit of notch to them, but not bad. This thing is dripping with TPU parts, as most quads are nowadays. TPU just gives manufacturers a lot more flexibility on where they can put parts and pieces and how they can set up the quads. We have our Crossfire receiver here in the top and our standard full-size DJI camera in the front, and I specifically chose this one over the other options because this one, if you're going to run this without a GoPro, without a naked GoPro or something like that, this camera is going to give you the best possible video quality compared to the smaller size cameras. Something I do like about this is they did go with a 20x20 flight controller in there rather than the Flywoo with the 16x16. This one here isn't going to need to rely on soft serial for the MSP protocol for the Caddx Vista. With the MSP protocol, which is basically how you get your OSD elements on your OSD through the Caddx Vista or through the DJI system in particular, going soft serial with the newer versions of Betaflight does have some issues. The OSD elements will either not be accurate, or they'll bounce around the screen, or they'll disappear altogether. And I've definitely experienced that with the Flywoo Explorer, but downgrading to Betaflight version 4.1.1 has cleared up that issue. But the side effect of that is is the GPS rescue mode I found is much less reliable on Betaflight 4.11 as opposed to the newer Betaflight 4.2. That is just something to think about when it comes to choosing which one you would purchase if you're going to purchase one of these. Already off the hop, I can feel that this quad is a bit heavier than the Flywoo for sure. The frame is way thicker, way stiffer, and it is a single piece frame, unlike the iFlight, unlike the Flywoo, which is individual arms. Not saying that one is better than the other, but it's just something to take note of if you're in the market for one of these little guys. Unfortunately, I feel like iFlight really missed the mark with this particular quad by not making it a dead cat style frame to really try to push those front arms back and get the props out of view. I'm not saying the props will be in view, but it's way more likely on this style frame than as a dead cat like the Flywoo Explorer comes with. Fortunately, iFlight came to the realization that that's probably not the best way to do it, and they are now selling it also with this dead cat style frame. As you can see, the front arms are closer in and farther back, and the back arms are farther back as well, to try to pull the props behind the camera's field of view so you get that cleaner HD footage if you're going to record through the goggles on the DJI system. So that is a whole ordeal in itself, swapping all the components out on this. It's not that big of a deal, and there's a lot of weight you could strip off of this thing. Like, you could get rid of a lot of this TPU stuff, like the TPU arm bumpers, these plastic wire covers. Although this is a very nice touch, it certainly isn't. It isn't very useful as far as it's form over function. It provides very little functionality other than to keep the wires up, but one small piece of tape could definitely make up for that. Let's go ahead and pop the top on this guy and see what she has under the hood. Yes, I know we could probably just look at the spec sheet, but what's the fun in that when we tear it apart and take a look for ourselves? See what the build quality is like, and see if they've committed any errors. Top plate, bottom plate, well, top plate and the arms are certainly way thicker than the Flywoo Explorer, which would also add to the extra weight of this craft. So, as you can see, we do have a buzzer, but we don't have a self-powered lost model alarm like what comes in the Flywoo Explorer. But this certainly is better than nothing. I know you could use the D-Shot beeper and make the motors vibrate and get the beeping sound, but this in general is going to be a whole lot louder than this will. And if you're lost in tall grass, you're going to hear this much better than you'll hear these. But it would be nice if this was self-powered, kind of like the V-Fly quad finders are. Let's go and get that off the back there. There's our Crossfire receiver. They do have this pretty nice 470 microfarad capacitor. And the flight controller it's an F405, so certainly not the newest technology, not an F411 or an F7 processor, but for the intended purpose, this is going to be plenty for this little quad. And as you see, we got the Vista in the back. They did soft mount the Vista, although it's not super necessary. They do have it soft mounted on these little rubber O-rings. All that's going to do is give it some vibration isolation. It'll help keep vibrations coming into the gyro. It'll help kind of smooth this out. Plus, it'll actually potentially add to the longevity of the Vista, as it's not going to be vibrating around in sync with the frame. Hopefully, anyways. The front mount camera is entirely mounted by TPU with the typical standoffs in the front. Pretty boilerplate. There's not a whole lot that's very special about this other than the form factor and the fact that it comes pretty much ready to rock with GPS. But like I said, there is an awful lot of TPU on this, and TPU is not the lightest material in the world, not by a long shot, but you know, it is what it is. There's not a lot of other cost-effective ways to do this kind of modifications or this type of customization to a craft than to design and 3D print something in-house. And I'm sure they are printing this in-house. 3D printers have become so ubiquitous, so good, and so accessible that Seems like everybody in this hobby has a 3D printer. Sometimes I do get asked which 3D printer should I buy if I was looking to buy a 3D printer. And I'll tell you right now, the best 3D printer out there, the best one on the market, the best one you could possibly get a hold of is the one your friend has. Don't do it. If you got a buddy who's into 3D printing, I guarantee you that they would be happy to cut you some prints for a couple bucks, make it worth their time. And you know, 3D printing is a whole other discipline and road to go down. If you got a buddy who has a printer and does good prints and can help you out, help them out. Toss them a couple bucks and let them do the printing for you. But if you are dead set on buying a printer, just get something with a direct drive extruder. That's about my only recommendations. Ah, darn it, I didn't put this back through there. Ugh. See if I can fish it through. Nope, I'll take this apart. All right, there she is, all built up. Yeah, got that back in the right spot. So I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to try to find a space where I can fly it and test out the GPS rescue mode. I'm not super confident in rescue mode yet, but from my initial testing with the Explorer, it seems to work okay as long as you understand how it works and you can meet the requirements that it needs to function properly. So let's get this thing outside, get it powered up, and get it flying. We'll see how this goes. All right, folks, so we're here with the Chimera4 from iFlight. I'm gonna mate in this thing, see what I think, especially compared to the Flywoo Explorer long range. This is quite a bit different of a quad. I think about the only thing it has in common is the fact that it's 4-inch bi-blades and has a Vista in it. Other than that, these are, at least on paper, these seem to be, oh, and it has a GPS. On paper, this seems to be quite a bit different, but let's see how it flies. I did go through Betaflight and put my own settings in it because the ones that came from iFlight were just not right at all. All right, here we go. Go away, go. I don't want you in my picture. You're annoying, go. Come on. Man, between the cats, would you stop rubbing on? Oh, I gotta go set it down someplace where the animals aren't gonna mess with it because animals mess with everything around here. So, immediately I can see that it says I have 14 satellites, and there's just no way that's true. All right, I think I'll fly without the GPS lock on it, and we'll see how this goes. Arm and there we go. That's how I get these things away from us. So I'm just gonna kind of cruise the property line. I can do anything crazy. See if it ever picks up a satellite lock. The Flywoo Explorer GPS really sucks in that thing. It's so bad that if I actually want GPS, I will end up hooking up a 5-volt or a USB power bank to it before I go flying for, I don't know, 10 minutes, just until it gets a GPS lock. So already I can see that there are props in view, unlike the Explorer,
1 minute,
which has the dead cat style. So the arms are back behind the camera. I do have the dead cat baseplate for this. I just haven't installed it. So if you're planning on flying this with just the DJI system, oh, there we go. Looks like I got lat and long going, but it still says 14 sats. Not super confident in that's true. What was I saying? Oh yeah, if you're gonna fly this with just the DJI system for the high def video, then you're probably going to want to get the dead cat system or the dead cat plate, or
20 seconds,
or get the Explorer. But with the Explorer, there is an issue with Betaflight 4.2 and using
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Timer 1 elapsed.
So there is an issue with using DJI and running the OSD through MSP on soft serial, which they have to do on the Flywoo Explorer because it's a 16 by 16 flight controller. It doesn't have enough UARTs. The OSD will jump all over the screen. It'll blank out. It's really annoying, but going down to Betaflight 4.11 seems to fix that issue. But from what I've noticed is that rescue mode does not work very well on Betaflight 4.1. I don't know if there's any changes, or perhaps there's just better default settings with 4.1 than there is with Betaflight 4.2, or better settings on 4.1 than there is with better settings on 4.2 than there is with 4.1. Ugh, talking and flying, it's tough. So this is an old clapped out 850 milliamp 4S. It's an old Tattoo. It's not a bad pack. It's just they've been around the block for a while. And I am at 3.8 volts per cell. Not too bad. And then something like this, I would probably run down to 3.3 per cell. So it'd be fine. This quad, I mean, already the GPS is way better than the one in the Flywoo. I even replaced the one in the Flywoo with another Flywoo Goku GPS unit, and that one sucks as well. It's a garbage GPS. At least in my setup it is. The iFlight doesn't have as low a camera angle, and this one has higher KV motors than the Explorer. It's a little bit heavier. It's a much thicker base plate and top plate, but it doesn't have replaceable arms. So these are two very different quads, and I don't think you can really kind of compare the two. They're very, very different. iFlight motors are known for being really good motors. These feel smooth enough for the task at hand. But if you're getting this for cinematic and long range, let's face it, you're gonna have to put a GoPro on it, because nothing is as good as a GoPro. I don't care who you are, what you're saying, nothing is as good as a GoPro. There's lots of things that are decent, but nothing as good. So you'd probably do a naked GoPro, and if you're gonna do that, you're gonna wanna go with a Hero 8. Because if you're going to do a naked GoPro, you're going to be doing Real Steady. Real Steady works so much better for the 6, the 8, and the 9 than it does with the 7 or the Sessions. Those have to have really funky soft mounting contraptions to keep them from messing up the Real Steady algorithm. These quads are not meant to be crashed. They're not very durable. The Flywoo definitely isn't durable at all. It's super thin, but it's lighter. It's also a smaller quad too. This one has a much longer body to it. You can't get nearly as low of a camera angle on the iFlight as you can with the Flywoo. The Flywoo puts the crossfire antenna in front of the quad, which is a much better place to put it for if you're actually going to do long range, because you want the worst signal possible going away from you. That way when you turn around, you don't lose your signal, because your best signal will be coming home. Just makes sense. It's like right before you take a poop. Just don't make sense. So let's see, what's my fly time? 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes already? Jeez. Time flies. I'm only at 3.7 volts. Granted, I don't think I've gone over maybe a third throttle this whole flight, which is kind of the point of these things, is to be like low throttle cruising. Just go fly through the trees here. This is the maiden. I have not flown this yet. Haven't really powered it up other than to bench test it, bind the DJI goggles, and update the firmware on it. I am running 50 megabits per second. It's kind of a bummer that you can't see what I see in the OSD. I really wish it could, but unfortunately DJI doesn't give us that option. This old fat fatty needs a workout. She gonna get one today. Yeah, these guys are pretty used to this. All right, I'll switch directions. This ain't NASCAR. We can go to the rat. Old Tad. Now this is areas I would never consider going with an analog quad because the breakup, it would be so bad that I'd be worried I would lose it. But and the DJI system is just super confidence inspiring. It looks so good. You can see all the little ghost branches and the scraggle and all the fun stuff. By the way, this is not high quality mode. High quality mode, the latency is just way too high to fly any sort of proximity. Just doing these laps around the yard, yeah, you can do that all day long. So I'm at almost 9 minutes. I'm at 3.6 volts per cell. These packs are old and tired, so it may drop off pretty quick. Man, I like DJI. I just wish that they would make like a race mode for it, you know? Like, make it so I can fly this with my analog guys in a race and not interfere with each other. Like, I know you can do it. You just have to do it. Do the firmware. Make it happen. Make them work like an analog set of goggles where it's receive only, no transmit, no talkie-talkie. And don't bleed all over the frequency spectrum. Race mode. Make it happen, DJI. I know you're not watching this, but that's what you need to do to get accepted into racing. Oh, and also DVR output, or you know, spectator mode, stuff like that. But you know, I'm pretty sure they'd be able to overlay the OSD on the recorded video. So if you had to do like a video playback, it doesn't seem like that's something they can't do. They do kind of do it, but it's a little different than what we're used to. I'm really liking this. This thing flies really well. All right, I'm down to 3.5 volts per cell, 3.4. At 10.5 minutes, which, I mean, you know, in reality, it's not that impressive. You get a 5-inch quad, put a 1300 milliamp pack on it and some bi-blades and go fly it like this, you'll probably get about the same amount of time. All right. Just getting pretty low here. All right, landed with 3.2 volts. So that's something you also have to consider is normal quads, when you land, your voltage goes back up, but this thing you're drawing so little current that what it says in the OSD is probably what you're gonna land at. Motors are cool as a cucumber. Pack ain't, pack's hot. Not bad, I like this, this is good. I'm gonna go fly the Flywoo now, just for comparison's sake. All right, heading back. Look at this big nasty bastard. Just disgusting. I know there's places that have worse spiders, but these banana spiders are just ugly as heck. Look at that. Ugh. Yeah, no thank you. No thank you, sir. I mean, they're completely benign, but running into them is like, running into their webs like running into silly string. It's some crazy stuff. All right. So in the end, what do I think of the iFlight Chimera 4? Well, by itself, this is an excellent, excellent quad. I think that comparing this to the Flywoo Explorer, it's a fair comparison, but I don't think the two they're not the same quad. Like, not, I mean, there's a little similarity, but not a lot. Like, yeah, they both have GPS and they both have the Vista, at least this one does. They both have 4-inch props and 1404 motors, but that's where the similarities end. The frame geometry, completely different. It's a much bigger quad. If you look at it from nose to tail, it's a bigger quad all around. It's heavier. It's definitely going to be more durable. So the question is, should you buy it? And I would say, yes. This is an excellent quad. Does it have its downsides? Of course, everything does. Everything in this hobby has some downside. I wish the receiver antenna was in the front for long range. I do like the GPS better than other offerings. The camera angle doesn't go down very far, but that's easy to fix by just removing these lower screws and just pivoting it on the center. So that's an easy fix. The video quality is excellent, as we're used to with the DJI digital FPV system. Comes with 2 sets of props. The motors are a little higher kV than what I'm used to. It is a little bit faster and has a little more pop than, say, like the Flywoo Explorer. It is a bigger quad, though, dimension-wise this way. If you're going to use just the camera in the front for your video feed, for like YouTube, if you're going to do the DJI or the Caddx Series, you're going to have props in view. About that much is what I saw with the Vista. So you're definitely going to want to get the dead cat frame to pull the arms back out of view. But the real question is whether it should be flown with one of these. This is a naked GoPro 6, and I plan on mounting this to this quad and to the Flywoo Explorer for the ultimate HD long-range flyer. But that's coming to the channel later. If you like what I'm doing here, please like and subscribe. All this stuff is purchased with my own funds. Nothing's an affiliate. Nothing was given to me by any company. If you want to support me, check out the link in the video description. All those links, a lot of them are affiliate links. They help me out with the channel. They help me bring product into the channel so I can show you guys. And they help subsidize the giveaways that I do over on my Patreon channel. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. I try to live stream every Saturday at about 9:45 Central Standard Time. So look forward to seeing you there. Again, like and subscribe. The Chimera 4, an excellent offering from iFlight. It's very, very competitive with the Flywoo Explorer. I wouldn't say either one's better than the other, but they both have aspects that are better than each other. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking us out. And I will see you all next time. Keep on flying.